Make tomorrow easy today. What does the 70-year-old you want that the 50-year-old can do now? Every decision you're making today is sending a blessing or a curse into your future. And once you start to realize that, you go, okay, I want to send as many gifts into the future as possible with the decisions I make today. And that comes down to what I would call the 4 permissions.
The From Busy to Rich podcast helps financial advisors by providing strategies and insights that will not only change your life, but practice.
Well, welcome everybody. I'm so excited today. I get to have somebody that has been super meaningful to me, Jon Acuff, on the show. He's been on here once before. You guys have heard him probably about a year and a half ago, I guess it was, Jon, last time we were on together. And the main reason I'm having you on is because I love to help up and coming writers and speakers really come onto the scene, which is totally not true at all with you. Jon has written 11 books, guys, and they are amazing. If you haven't listened to his work, you're missing out. And I would totally recommend you do that. It's many of your books, Jon, are on my reread list every year. We read them with our team. I give them to my kids. We talk through them. Just really, really fun to have you on. Always a good time with you. One of my favorite things, Jon, about you is you're what I call a master of mature simplicity. And what I mean by that is there's a guy in our industry, the financial industry, that he super famous back in the day. He's long since died, but he said, we come into our business in a state of starry-eyed enthusiasm, and then we educate ourselves to a place of sophisticated confusion. And hopefully we can emerge to the other side of mature simplicity. And your books are so actionable and so ready to go. In fact, I love the book cover jacket, guys, that when you look at this thing right off the top, it says, before I tell you the system that beats procrastination, I need to assure you this is easy. And you do make it easy, Jon, in the way you wrote this book. It's a wonderful book. Procrastination proof. You guys gotta get this book. We're gonna give some of them away as well before we're done here today. But Jon, brother, thank you for being on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me again. I'm looking forward to it.
So I'd love to start out just with some of the big ideas in the book, the premise, and have you kind of just walk us through these things. You said in the book, procrastination isn't a willpower problem; it's a permission problem. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so the big thing is that procrastination is actually something people use as a solution. I'm just arguing it's not a great solution. Meaning they go, I'm afraid of money. I'm afraid to talk about money. I don't know how to talk about money. I'm embarrassed at where I am financially. You bump into people that way all the time where they're like, I don't want to go talk to a financial planner because I'll be embarrassed at where we are. And there's no good planner that goes I can't, what? You guys only have that? That's that's never the reaction. It's a no judgment zone. But so procrastination goes, hey, I know you're ashamed kind of, so I'll fix this shame for you. We just won't talk to anybody about our money for another year. I'll take care of that. And you go, oh, or they goes, yeah, I'll bury that. Or you go, I'm afraid that I'll get a negative review if I write a book. So procrastination goes, I'll take care of that. You'll never get a negative review. It doesn't tell you, by the way, you don't get to write a book, but it's this really broken solution. And my argument is that the better solution is permission, meaning giving yourself permission to do the things you need and want to do, giving your team, giving your kids. And it's this word we don't use much as an adult, but as kids, we understood the power of it. And then when you study the greatest story, there's always an element of permission. So in The Lord of the Rings, Gandalf gave it to Frodo. Gandalf said, you have permission to save the Shire and the whole world. In The Matrix, Morpheus gave it to Neo. You have permission to choose. You can take the blue pill and wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe, or you can take the red pill and stay in Wonderland and see how far the rabbit hole goes. And so permission is the thing people are waiting for. And I'll give you an example of where somebody would get stuck. This happened to me just the other day. This gentleman told me he wants to lose weight. He wants to get in shape. He wants to change his lifestyle. But in his family, the family he grew up in, big Southern family, food was comfort, food was security, food was culture, food was everything. So he feels like he doesn't have permission to change his life. And I get to step into that and go, hey, you can love your parents and not repeat your childhood. Both things, you can do both things. You can go to Thanksgiving and have kind of your eating plan and not feel outside of the family, or you're doing something immoral by not eating the food you always ate because it's no longer working for you. That's a perfect example of a small permission. And then in your world, money, dude, so many people have so many permission issues with money, meaning I don't have permission to make more than my dad. And the dad might not have even said that, but in your family, it's like dad is dad, and we don't get to make more than him, or the successful brother, that's the cap on what I can do. And man, you get into money and you see all these permission issues. So that's why it's a fun topic to talk about.
I love that. The thing a lot when I was reading it, it reminded me of, and actually I went and reread your book Soundtracks after I read this one because it was like, man, I need to revisit that a bit. Was it like we funny joke in our office we talk about all the time is if I was to sneeze right now, what would most people say? They'd say, "Bless you, God bless you." And second question is, well, why? Why do you say that? And most people don't have an answer. And you look it up, and it's like one ancient theory was that it's like been around for a long time because it was like a warding off of evil spirits trying to enter your body or leave your body. And it goes through all these different answers. And in the end, it kind of goes, but really, the reason you do it is because you inherited that. That soundtrack's been played in your head for a long time. So I love the permission because we have permission to not just do what we've always done because of the family of origin we grew up in, because of culture, because of our own story we're telling ourselves about, well, I'll get to that when. I'll get to that when. So fantastic, brother. I'd love to talk a little bit about when you talk about procrastination is not a problem, it's a solution. Because there's a and I think you actually know him well. Stephen Pressfield, in his book The War of Art, wrote that most of us have two lives: the life we live and the unlived life within us. And between those two stands resistance. And I feel like a lot of the resistance is like we don't give ourselves the permission to dance into the future that we believe or want or know we're capable of. I'd just love you to talk about that for a minute.
Oh yeah, and I love that you referenced him. War of Art is probably one of my favorite books of all time. You talk about a reread. I define procrastination as when your actions don't match your intentions. When there's a gap between where what you're doing and who you say you want to be. And the reverse is a remarkable life, where your actions overlap with your intentions, where those two things are so closely related. There's like a Venn diagram. And I think you're right. I think for whatever reason, we're afraid of closing those gaps. We don't think we have the permission to do it. We feel like, or we've accepted an old label and we're still living out of it. Somebody the other day told me, well, my sister was the athletic one, I was the smart one. So at 12, she gave herself the I'm not an athlete label, and at 42 is still living against that. And I would say, you have permission to be athletic. Or people will say math, let's go back to money. People say, well, I'm not a detailed person. I'm not a money person. And you go, you're 32. You might live 50 more years. You can learn. It's not that you have to be, you can figure it out. There's ways, but they accept it. I'm not this type of person, so therefore I'll always not be this type of person. And you just go, no, you actually, you can figure that out. You can learn that. Most things are learnable skills. They're not things you were born with, and if you didn't get them, you can't add them. But I think the other thing that's intimidating is just giving yourself permission to dream, just even the freedom. And part of, I think, what you guys help people with is understanding the dream. Not the one you think you're supposed to have, not the cultural one, but hey, as you think about your future, let's figure out what that really looks like so that we can start making decisions to it and we can actually get there.
I think it's huge, man. I think this idea of that we have to have permission to get picked or to get it to be, somebody has to tell you or endow you with it, holds so many people back. It's because you said it in the book, but the permission slip was the thing, right? When you're growing up.
Oh, as a kid, yeah, that was it.
Why are you late to class? Got a permission slip, right? I was supposed to be. Yeah. In fact, growing up, and again, don't judge me here, but I grew up in the day when we had old school fake IDs. I don't know if you ever had one, John, but my fake IDs were you had to find a guy that looked like you, and kind of go, hey, can I give you $100? But it was permission. You went out there until they God, because they never really looked like you and took it away. But
yeah, they were like, wait a second, you don't have a mustache. And you're not 32. You're 18. You're 14 years off. Like, you don't have a
Yeah, no,
kid.
and I had going for me, I looked like I was 8 when I was 21, so that we had a lot of that to deal with.
Yeah, a lot of room, a lot of wiggle room.
You told a story in the book about one of the guys you worked for as you had, like, struggled through jobs that kind of gave you the, "Hey, man, this is permission," and he drew, like, a series of triangles saying, "Here's what happens." Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, a guy named Ted Bocelli that I worked with at Bose. I was on, I think, job number 4 in 6 years. I had a terrible career. I was a pretty average husband, to be honest. I was a pretty average dad, like out of shape, like just grumpy, scared, insecure, also arrogant, which is a fun combo, like where you don't know anything, but you're also arrogant. That's a fun one. And he pulled me aside one day and was like, "Hey, let me show you why you're frustrated right now at Bose." And Bose is the stereo company. They make high-end headphones, home theater systems. And he drew on this napkin. And sometimes when I get to speak, at events, I'll draw it on a big whiteboard. But he said, "Bose doesn't make products, we make music." And he said, "It's this massive field and it's huge and it's expansive. It's the sound at weddings and in arenas. Like it's amazing." He said, "But when Dr. Bose describes that to his second in command, say the CEO doesn't want to get in trouble and go over the line. So he draws the borders just a little bit smaller. And then when the CEO passes down the vision to the president, they draw it a little bit smaller." And he just kept going and going and going until it was like a Russian nesting doll to where the center was this very tiny box. And he said, "What you inherit isn't a soccer field. You at your level inherit a postage stamp. And it's hard to tell an amazing story inside a postage stamp." And that stuck with me because I think all too often we've drawn the borders of our own lives and our aspirations and what's possible smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller until we look up and we feel really stuck because we've got this postage stamp and we think that's as big as life gets to be. And then hopefully over time, whether it's through community, whether it's through a book like Procrastination Proof or a speech or a mentor, somebody helps you break down some of those walls and you progressively get back to the size of the life you can actually have.
That is so good, man. The whole thought process around, like, endowment of permission, but take permission. Just say, "I can go do this. I'm endowing myself with that if nobody else is doing it."
Even if you don't believe it at first, you only need like 2% belief. Like there's soundtracks I'm listening to right now. Like one of them is the goal is growth, not comfort, because I realized when I feel uncomfortable, I feel like stopping. I go, something must be wrong. I feel uncomfortable, but that's not the goal. The goal is growth. And so I honestly don't believe that 100% yet because I get into uncomfortable situations like, let's wrap this whole thing up. This is terrible. But I'm reminding myself, no, 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 no. I have permission to be uncomfortable. Like, and that's actually maybe not because like the cool thing west, there's this really amazing space you enter eventually where you do something uncomfortable, you grow in some way, some new habits, some new whatever, and you get so kind of dialed into it that to not do it feels weird. You move from it feels weird and uncomfortable to do it to where it feels uncomfortable to not do it. Like if you consistently go to the gym, you take 2 weeks off, you're like, you're itchy. You're like, this is not right. I'm a gym person. Like, so like to me, that's a really fun place to march toward.
What hits me there as you say that is, like, so we were talking before we got started here that I wrote a book this year, Beautiful Savage, and I recorded the audiobook for it. The premise of Beautiful Savage is like that a beautiful savage has a big ambition, a grateful condition, and a savage persistence to dance with all the resistance between the life they're living, unlived life within them. And so I read this book about all this stuff. And then it gets to recording the audiobook, and there's lots of ways to do that. Like you've recorded many and you're great at it. And I'm fine talking to a room. I've never read a book.
Dude, it's a hard experience. It's hard.
And so I was opting for the, well, can't we get like a narrator? People do narrators. I can just do a narrator to do this, right? And
British guy, like really cheat. Get a British guy. Everything people from England say sounds smart.
it sounds smarter, more intelligent. I think I should have. And I tried, John, I tried to do that. And a couple things happened. One is I had a guy lined up, and last minute he said, "Hey, this happened with my mom. I'm not gonna be able to record this for you. It'll be after the date. We'd already scheduled it we did the pre-sale, all the things that you do." And I was like, "Okay, well, I guess I'll do it." And another guy, and one of my buddies was like, "Dude, you need to record it. You need to record it." So I go in there and I went ahead, like the day before, I was talking to Jamie, my wife, about it. And I said, I don't think I should do this. And she said, well, it sounds like you should reread your book, is what it sounds like, because, you know, savage persistence. Come on. I mean, come on. What are you afraid is going to happen here? And I'm like, what am I afraid of? And what I was afraid of is I wouldn't sound good. I was afraid of that people would get backlash on it, and who knows, maybe that happened. It's newly released, so we'll see. I go in there, record. It was awkward. It was difficult. And I remember the my Ryan, who's on our host team here. He set it all up for me. I go in there, and the guy's like, he said, "Listen, how many of these have you done?" I said, "0." He said, and the guy had 0 bedside manner, John. He's like, "This is probably going to be terrible." That's all he said to me. Right after that, I was like,
Yeah,
okay.
that's why he works in a booth alone that's soundproof. Like, he's a cave troll.
I think he needs a translator to come out and like deliver messages for him. And then I recorded the first chapter, and he said, "That was worse than I thought. You need to go back and try that again." Finally, we get it going, and he's like, "Oh, that was pretty good." Get all the way to the end, and he's like, "All right, now we probably need to get those first 2 chapters again, because they were bad. I was just wanting to move this thing along." And so but man, you done that. I mean, when was your first one that you recorded?
I guess it was 2000, maybe 2010. So like 16 years ago, I guess. And no, it's an awkward experience because you're saying something very emotional and not getting any emotion back. So you're trying to be high energy and the other thing is, I realized, I bet you did too, some of the sentences I write are more difficult than I can say, or the word choice. So like on one book, I wrote the phrase rural road, and like I tried it 7 times, and the sound engineer was like, finally came out. I was like, dude, you got to say country road, because like I couldn't, like rural road. It was just terrible. And like it's a humbling experience where somebody goes, yeah, your mouth sounds broken, so we're gonna run that back one more time, change it to an easier word. So yeah, I don't find it an easy experience, but it's definitely a necessary one. I'm glad you recorded it. I think I like when an author does. I'm glad you did it.
I think that the whole thing, my thought there is that idea of being comfortable being uncomfortable, almost being uncomfortable not being uncomfortable, is the premise. And all of you listening today, we got advisors. Some are in their first couple of years. Some have been here a long time. And the thing is, all of you have something right now that you want to go do, and you're not doing it. And we don't, and the reasons are plentiful, right? You come up with lots. It could have been inherited reasons, could have been things out there, whatever it is. A lot of times you're just afraid. You're afraid you're going to look silly. You're afraid you're going to feel uncomfortable. And if you deem that as bad, you will feel uncomfortable, and you will be a little silly when you're trying on something new. So you're writing this book is so freeing in that area. Anything you'd say to those guys?
It's funny. I had an advisor tell me this the other day, and it was a broken soundtrack. They said, my clients aren't the type of people that give referrals. And that's a broken soundtrack because there's unspoken words, all my clients, because that's what you're saying, all. 2, you haven't asked all of them. 3, you're pre-deciding for them. And 4, they weren't made in a no referral factory. There's no way that all your clients, like I figured out how to have one type of person who hates referrals, but that was a soundtrack that they were believing and therefore not doing the work. And the greater truth was like, I don't want to get rejected. Like, cause I feel like if I ask for a referral, I'll get rejected. And once we could dial that, and then we could do something about it.
Hey, thanks for tuning in to From Busy to Rich. If you're listening and something sparks a question, or you just want to explore these ideas further, visit us at wesyounglive.com or email us at info@wesyounglive.com. You'll find free resources, tools, and ways to get in touch. We'd love to hear from you.
All right, so John, I'd love to hit a couple more things with you as we land the plane on this. So you said desire creates discipline, not the other way around. And I love that statement. I mean, tell me about what that means to you.
Yeah. So I've helped more than 1 million people with goals, and I still haven't met somebody who told me, yeah, today I just decided to change because I just decided to wake up and have grit or have persistence or sacrifice. No one ever willingly leaves their comfort zone, and they shouldn't. It's comfortable. The only reason you ever leave your comfort zone is something outside it is worth being uncomfortable for. And it's usually one of 2 things. It's that desire, you bumped into something you want, or it's disappointment. So desire is I want more of this. Disappointment is I don't want this. Meaning you wake up at 48 and go, this is not working. Like I had, I lost my job to AI and this is not working, or my marriage is not working. And so that's what creates the discipline. In my own life, so I start blogging in my mid 30s, and that's what made me get up early. I didn't get up early because I'm Mark Wahlberg and I do burpees at 2 a.m. I got up early because I had 2 kids under the age of 4, a full-time job, and the only time to write was at 5 a.m. Like I didn't stop watching so much TV because I'm disciplined. I stopped watching so much TV because TV was giving me nothing and writing was giving me everything. And I looked at my calendar like every hour was a log and I wanted to throw it into the fire that was burning, and more time just like, and so what's fun about that principle is eventually the discipline will carry you. I did a podcast with Shawn Johnson, the gold medal Olympian, and she said, I 100% agree with desire leading to discipline. She said, but on the days that desire doesn't show up, discipline will carry you. And that's 100% true too. But I think where people get stuck is they go, I just got to be more disciplined, more disciplined, more disciplined. But they don't have a desire or they don't have a disappointment they're trying to solve. So they don't have that long-term fire.
I love it because so many times it's like if you look at a person's life, and this is where your books have truly helped me. This one, no different, and just reinforcing. It's like, how can I make this easy? How can I make this easy? Why am I making this so hard? And it's like I'm putting rungs on the ladder that are 10 feet apart instead of little rungs. And sometimes I'm going, wait a minute, what am I doing that's making this consistently not work? And you've got some great hacks on that. I do want to ask. So I want you to talk about that, and then I do want to move on to this last area that I think is just absolute gold: the dream, plan, do, review, and and also I love the corresponding traps in that. And you can tie those two together because they're so. I went over this. I just laugh every time I read through that section because it's so me, and I can tell you which ones I am, but I would love you to talk about that.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, you're right. My big thing is how do I make it easy? Like life is already preset to hard. Why am I making it harder? Why am I complicating it? Why don't I think this counts? And so my definition of discipline is really simple. It's make tomorrow easy today. Make tomorrow easy today. What can I do today to make tomorrow easy? And once you learn that principle, and where I first applied it was like, how does night me hook up morning me? What can I do tonight that will make morning me have a successful morning? Because it used to be the reverse. I'd wake up in the morning and I'd want to get after it and go get the day, and I'd be groggy and overwhelmed. And I'd go, hey, night me, I feel terrible. What happened last night? And night me would be like, we doom scrolled until midnight and then we ate a lasagna. Good luck. And I'm like, night me, you really screwed me over here, dude. And so night me started to hook up morning me, and then Monday me started to hook up Friday me. I started to go, what can I do today on Monday to make Friday easy? Like if I want an easy Friday afternoon, what does that look like? And then you just expand it out. And that's where it gets fun to go, what does the 70-year-old you want that the 50-year-old can do now? So like every decision you make today sends a gift or a curse into the future. Every decision you're making today is sending a blessing or a curse into your future. And once you start to realize that, you go, okay, I want to send as many gifts into the future as possible with the decisions I make today. And that comes down to what I would call the 4 permissions: permission to dream, plan, do, review. Dream is just answering the question, what do you want to do? Plan is answering the question, how will you do it? Do is answering the question, well, are you doing it? Have you moved into action? And review is asking, did it work? Are we headed in the right direction? And you mentioned the traps. 4 different people get stuck in 4 different places. Dreamers get stuck dreaming. They have 1,000 ideas, 0 actions. Perfectionists get stuck planning. They're going to change the world as soon as the plan is perfect. Hustlers get stuck doing. They hate a plan and they hate to review. Sales teams, like I work with a lot of sales teams, and when I share this, they all elbow each other. And I go like, so I had a sales team once, and their soundtrack was, if it didn't happen in Salesforce, it didn't happen. Meaning we're not giving you credit for that sale unless you fill out the paperwork. And sales teams will come back and be like, oh, it's so much bureaucracy. I don't have time to be filling out paperwork. And the leadership goes, it's 3 fields. We just need to know the name and the location of the person so we can fulfill the thing you sold. And they go, oh, get me back in the streets. I'm built for sales. They hate a review. They hate a plan. And then analysts, that final group, get stuck reviewing. They tend to kind of review what didn't work and get obsessed with that. So they don't play devil's advocate. They become devil's advocate, and negativity sets in. So usually when I work with a team, I can figure out pretty quickly, like, oh, it's a ton of hustlers, but nobody's actually planning. Like and the review just tells you the bridge is out. You meet a lot of hustlers that are like, I'll just add speed to this to fix it. And you're like, well, you're making a ton of progress just off a cliff. And all a review is trying to tell you is like, hey, Ed, the bridge is out. This will fix it. More revenue. You go like, more revenue will fix this. Like, yeah, but we're bleeding out one side of the business, right? So you need me to sell more revenue? You want me to like, no. If we put a very small bandage on this thing by doing a plan, by doing a review, we don't have to go crazy. Like, I hear what you're saying. Go harder. You want more grind? And it's like, no, a little bit of planning will change this.
Man, that it's so good, and definitely of our group listening today, you know, most of these I would stereotype them because I think I kind of know where they fit. They're fitting the dreamers, hustlers category, one of those two, or maybe yeah, and I'm deep there too. I mean, it's so yeah. I mean, the 1,000 ideas. Zero action, right? I'm like, what? We need to spend more time on ideas. I'm going to think about these ideas, or I go so big and all right, now we got to go and run. And I'm obsessed with doing. And then I'm like, should we top? Is this working? Is this working well? Should we?
Who knows? Let's just double down. Let's lock in.
Faster. Faster's got to be better, right, John? So it's so good. That your statement, I don't want you guys to gloss over this that are listening today, because it is one of my favorite things that you said. I've heard this in other talks different ways from you, and this, but that your favorite definition of self-discipline is make tomorrow easy. And got that right? Did I say that right?
Make tomorrow easy today. Make tomorrow easy today. Meaning you're connecting. Most people are divorced from their future. And like, here's the big problem, Wes. We tend to send our letters in the wrong direction. And what I mean by that is people will say things like, what would you tell your 20-year-old self? If you could give your 25-year-old self advice, what would you tell them? The problem with that is that person doesn't exist. If you want to have a regret-filled life, try to do something today that'll change the 20-year-old version of you. You can't. That person doesn't exist. The 60-year-old you, though, that person exists. The 40-year-old you exists. The 70-year-old me exists. So I just start to think, okay, what can I do today to make sure that person would write me a thank you letter? Like, if I imagine the 60-year-old version of me, I'm 50, what letter would that person write me? Would they say, hey, I'm so grateful you made those financial decisions? Like, we steered our finances years ago so that we could buy a mountain house. I realized, like, my wife and I talked about it, we wanted the type of place where our kids wanted to come back to. So we worked on creating core memories in a certain mountain town in North Carolina, and then we eventually bought a place there. And now we've spent multiple summers there. Now, like, God willing, they have grandkids someday, that'll be the family spot. You just, like, you talked about your house before we started recording. You were very deliberate about how family lives there. Like, your 70-year-old you would thank you for that, would go, hey, man, you created a really rich experience, and you steered your finances, you steered your time, you steered your work that way. Thank you for doing that. That's what I really like to think about.
John, it's so good. I mean, I could go all day with you here on this stuff. I do want everybody that's listening in today or watching, if you're watching, and listen, John's a super good looking guy. So you gotta tune into the YouTube. And
if you're not watching, you are, wow. If you like gray hair, you are missing out, dude.
And we are the Gray Hair Club. It's like the Procrastinator Club. We're also in the Gray Hair Club. Yeah, man. It just gets better.
If you showed up with like jet black hair, would your friends say something to you? Like tomorrow, like you roll up and you're like, hey, like you're like, like Magnum PI, like just black as night.
I think I'm just gonna do my beard and mustache and just see what happens with it, man.
My friends would tell me. My friends would be like, "Is everything okay? Is everything okay, John?"
Well, guys, tune into the YouTube on it. But listen, we're gonna give away 20 of John's books, and so what we'll have in the show notes is an email address that you can send to, and we will get you that. But the first 20, I'm not giving away 10,000. I'd love to. Again, keep boosting you along, John. But eventually, I gotta make some money myself to support my book buying habits.
Babies need shoes. Babies need shoes. I get it,
man. And so we'll absolutely do that. These are gold. You should go buy the audiobook too, because he reads it really well. But if you are listening to my audiobook, listen to mine first before his, because he reads way better than I do. So don't judge me according to that standard. But how can John? You got a lot of stuff going on. I mean, I think we're going to get to hear you speak at some events of ours, because you're incredible and have great messages. But
And that's where we first connected years ago.
that is I'm at the same event right now, Nautilus, and we're all here together. So and we got to meet, and man, how can people find you? What is the best way for them to find you?
Yeah, so I mean, my website's just jonacuff.com, acuff.com. I have a podcast called All It Takes is a Goal. And then I'm on LinkedIn a lot. Like it took me years to realize how great LinkedIn was. I feel a little behind on LinkedIn, but I had this soundtrack that I realized that Instagram is fun and LinkedIn is profitable. And I'm like, boy, that helps me. Like, I wrote that for myself as a reminder, like, because it can be kind of the least shiny, kind of boring social media platform, but man, it's the most effective at business.
You get in trouble at work if you're on it, right? That's another upside.
Exactly. So yeah, I'm on LinkedIn, and then yeah, the book is available everywhere. And then if you want to figure out like which trap you might fall into, it's just jonacuff.com/quiz. We have a really quick, simple quiz you can fill out, and it'll give you an assessment of like, hey, here's where you're going to get trapped. Here's how to work with other people different than you. So it's a fun kind of figure out where you are tool.
Great. And one more thing too, I know you've been doing something unique around the speaking and writing, the workshops that you and I were talking about before. Can you talk a little bit about that? Because we got a lot of people here that have a book in them, and a lot of people that want to get better at talking and speaking. So tell them about that.
Yeah. So after 18 years of doing this, sold more than 1 million books, travel the world speaking, I kept getting questions from people who wanted to try that. And it's my two favorite things in the world is doing that and then helping people. If you ever catch me, Wes, in the Sky Club, the Delta Sky Club, I'm probably amping up a young speaker. I'm probably amping up a new writer. And so we have an office space in Franklin, Tennessee, where I live, where we do a 2-day intensive event called Stage and Page. And it's 20 people, and I walk you through writing and speaking, and it's super hands-on, meaning like I give you what I call the 1 million book proposal, because it's the proposal I've used to sell a $1 million publishing contract. And I just walk you through each step, and then you leave with that proposal. So I really try to make it's not a lot of like, believe in yourself, we're going to just hope the universe helps you. It's much more like, hey, here's how to structure a speech. You need a lean in line. Here's how to write a lean in line. Here's how to write a charge at the end. Here's where to put your QR code. So it's really fun. The first one sold out without us even talking about it. And now we've added 2 more dates in November. So if you're curious, it's just jonacuff.com/stage. The word stage.
John, I can't thank you enough, brother, for being on the show. You're a blessing to people. And
my honor, dude. My honor.
Thank you so much. Can't wait to have you back again. And because I know you're working on another one. I know you've got another book in there, or 2 or 9.
Totally. I've got another one coming out in November. And then I have another one due in January. So yeah, again, I wouldn't have written Procrastination Proof as book 2 because I would have been 36 and guessing. I didn't know. I would have guessed. At book 11, I feel pretty good about being like, hey, I figured out how to not procrastinate. I think,
brother, you got 11 books in your belt. I think you figured out the skill of not procrastinating, not letting that keep you back anyway. So
again, book 1, it would have been very arrogant and very hopeful. And book 11, I'm like, this is the way. So that's my hope.
That's awesome, man. Thank you very much.
Thanks for having me, Wes.
Thanks for tuning in to From Busy to Rich. If something in today's episode sparked an idea or hit a nerve, don't keep it to yourself. Follow the show, share it with a friend, and let's keep building a community of advisors who want more. You can find more resources, tools, and free content at wesyounglive.com. We'll see you back here next time for more real conversations about building the life and business you really want.